Welcome to These Nuts Garage, and today we're going to be looking at this 2023 Ford Bronco Outer Banks. It only took us 584 days to get it. Alright, so yes, this is finally we got it. It's a 2023 Ford Bronco Outer Banks, like I said, but it is a non-Sasquatch version. Now, when we first placed our order 584 days ago, or more than that now, because we've had this truck a couple of weeks, but when we ordered it, my wife, this was for her, and she had ordered a Badlands with Sasquatch, Lux package, tow, the tow package, hard top, roof rails, all that stuff loaded. And almost for 2 years we never heard a peep out of Ford with anything. So last year, as fall came around, Ford kind of made the announcement, well, if you want to get your Bronco in 2023, you're going to have to make some concessions on your order. You're going to have to cut some stuff out so that way you can get it. And what had happened, she decided, well, I'll go from the Badlands to the Outer Banks. The Outer Banks has some different seat options as far as the color of the leather seats. She liked these kind of seats better, so that was one positive for her to go to the Outer Banks, because the seat choice and colors. I think with the Badlands you may have a disconnecting sway bar in the front, things like that for more off-roading. We'll be doing a little bit of off-roading, but we're not going to be rock crawling or doing any major trails with it. So we didn't really need that. So she said, well, I'll just drop it to an Outer Banks. And then she had to she dropped the Sasquatch package, because kind of had heard around that some of the Sasquatch package parts were kind of getting harder to get, like the hard tops and things like that. So she's like, well, I'll just lower the package, because I think a Sasquatch package on these trucks is like $5 grand. So I was like, for $5 grand, we can buy new tires and wheels. And then if we want to, we can put a suspension lift on it, and there we'll be back with 35s under it if we choose to go that route. So she dropped the Sasquatch. We also dropped the tow package, in which the tow package, I think it comes with maybe electric brakes, and it has the 4-pin, the 7-pin in the back, the receiver, and I think you can kind of control the trailer from inside on the dash, like the infotainment center, I guess. So we dropped that because we figured, well, we don't really need electric brakes. We're not going to be pulling anything of any size with this to need electric brakes, really. So we dropped that, and we can add a new receiver and the wiring harness for it for about 300 bucks. So we can do that on our own and save a little bit of money on that. And then the other thing was the roof rails. She wanted roof rails on the top, but there's a perk to getting them when you order the Bronco. I think because she said the roof rails are like $250 when you order them with your Bronco. But if you try to order them now aftermarket, or not aftermarket, but from Ford, they're like $800. So you're going to pay a premium to order them after the fact. But then you hear that maybe those roof rails don't carry as much weight. But if we add it to it, we're not going to be carrying a lot of weight anyway. But the problem with roof rails that I see is if you try to, if you want to take the hardtop off, well, you got to take the roof rails and all that contraption off of it as well. So it's kind of a nice to have, but kind of could be a pain in the neck to have long term, and you wind up just sitting that thing in a corner. Okay, so when this Bronco came in, my wife knew that it hit that dealership's lot within an hour of it touching ground there. She was tracking this thing like a FedEx package, So she knew when it hit the parking lot of the dealership, she called me and said, can you run up there and check it out? Because like I said, my wife's in another state at this time. So I ran up there, checked it out, but it was kind of dark. Kind of looked over it real quick. And then the next day I was flying out to go to Montana. So I went up there early in the morning. The thing was all had condensation all over it. So it was kind of really hard to tell on the outside of the vehicle if there was like any blemishes on the paint. So when I got back from Montana, I went back to the dealership because it was a sunny day. and I wanted to go over the vehicle pretty good to make sure there wasn't any imperfections in the paint or in the top, because you know, if you're any in the Bronco groups, you did see a lot of tops that were mismatched and issues with paint. Well, we had some issues with our paint, and I will put up here over my face or somewhere overlay here of the blemish on the back of the tailgate. Now, I don't know if that's where they had tried to correct something at the factory, or if they maybe spray gun didn't work right. I don't know, but that was one problem that we pointed out to the dealership. And then on the front passenger side fender flare, it also has like something in the clear coat, like maybe when the paint gun was spraying, I don't know if a piece of moisture dropped on the paint and then they clear coated over it, but there is a little blemish on the front fender flare. Now, I showed that to the dealership, and they was like, oh, we'll jump right on that, we're going to take care of it, we know, but it's going to take, you know, a couple of weeks to get it done. And I was, okay, well, that's fine. So when we took delivery of it, they already knew they had to fix those issues. So if you're ever buying a new vehicle, make sure you walk around your car on a real bright sunny day and check every square inch of that paint job before you buy it and you leave. And then you find that later on, and then there's maybe some discrepancy, and well, maybe you did that, or maybe that wasn't Ford's fault, or whatever manufacturer you want to think of. Just always go over the outside of it and make sure it's in good shape. Now, the other thing, when we went to go pick the vehicle up and all that stuff, we had been working with Steve Marsh Ford in Milan, Tennessee for 584 days. You know, I've bought cars from them in the past, and there was no exception to this vehicle. The service was excellent, the salesman was excellent, the financing's excellent. I mean, that's a really great dealership. We also had the price protection on this vehicle, so I think the MSRP on it was like $56,000, and then we saved like $2,500 off the MSRP, so that dropped it down into like what, $53,000 or 50 somewhere in there, 54, 53, somewhere in that neighborhood. So they weren't one of the dealerships that's trying to stick you. If you had ordered a Bronco from them, they were selling them to you for price protection, or maybe even under invoice. So if you're looking for a Bronco and they have one available, check them out up there at Steve Marsh Ford, Milan, Tennessee. This isn't a plug, but when you get good service, you want to, you know, compliment the people that gave you that service. All right, so I'm just going to walk over the exterior of the vehicle real quick. These are Bridgestone Dueler. I think these are 255, 65, 18s. So these will be getting replaced maybe in a future video. So as something with the the Outer Banks that I like when it's a non-Sasquatch is that the fender flares are painted. You have these step rails here, which are nice, but it would be nice if we did have a set of those electric ones that pop down. Kind of stow and go, really. So as you come around to the back, you do have the spare tire on the back. You also have your backup camera out here, right inside that tire. And I don't know if we'll be able to see it, but I'll try to get in there. Somewhere like right here, you can see a little bit of it. That's where that blemish is on the tailgate. And they are going to have to repaint that whole tailgate, and no big deal. It's Ford's taking care of it. So as we come around, same thing on this side. One thing I do like, this truck does have the 360 lighting. So that's what these lights are for. It also has puddle lights down there, and then it also has a camera there because it has that 360 camera view. It spins all the way around. I do like also on the Outer Banks, the mirror caps are painted to match the truck. This is basically the cheapest bumper that we could get because one of the other sacrifices was the modular front bumper. Kind of took that off so that way we could get it sooner, because that was one thing I heard was kind of holding up builds, was the modular front bumper. So we'll probably be replacing that one later on, maybe something with a winch in it. Does have the hard top, which is nice. I really like the hard tops over the soft tops because the soft tops, that back window kind of gets saggy, it looks like to me. All right, so let's take a view of the inside. Now I'm just gonna start in on the door here. Basically, these doors do come off. And one thing I do like about the Broncos versus the Jeeps is your hinges for the doors are on the inside. So this is all sleek looking. The front, you know, fenders as wide as the door. So the front end has a wider stance than, say, the Jeeps. But some people like Jeeps, and I ain't bashing them. I'm just saying I like the way the hinges for the doors are kind of hidden. So that way if you do want to leave them on, you don't see the hinges. Now when it comes to the doors, you do have your power and unlock buttons here. And then you have, I guess that's a lock button. And then that's how you open it. And then it has this little netting here, which they do make aftermarket things where you can make that more poke out. So that way you can put a water bottle or something like that. Now coming over here to the seats, you can kind of see the seats are two-tone. They're black and then like a peanut butter color. And I really like that. That looks good. And then it has the blue stitching in there for the Outer Banks. You'll see a lot of the trim, like in the grab handle here, just blue. That means Outer Banks. And then we got our spotlights for our mirrors, your automatic lights and your brightness, all that down here. You have your parking brake, your hood down here. And then you move around into the console. Open it up. Got a little bit of storage. That's not the biggest console in the world, but it'll hold what you need to. This little tray comes out. And then it does have a 12-volt port right there. And then in the console, here's where all your windows, power windows are. Your mirrors, things like that. Then here's all your GOAT modes. This is an automatic. And then here you see the blue here too. That's once again representing the Outer Banks. And as you move into the creature comforts, you'll see all this comes on. Don't want to be playing any music. But it has the dual climate control. It also has a heated steering wheel. This does have like a winter package on it. And basically everything else is self-explanatory. Down here it has the wireless charging pad. And then when you open this up, and this gives you your 2 USB ports. If you come up the dash, up here it's got your locking differential in the back. I think this is trail assist, and then this is traction control off, and then hazard. Got that there. And if you kind of run up on over the dash, you also have a place to put like a GoPro camera, and you also have another power port there. So if you have a GoPro or your phone and you're recording trails and stuff, you'll have a place to charge them. Now, just kind of trying to get around the steering wheel. There's the dash, the instrument cluster. Here's your wipers and things like that. Just basically the normal stuff. You know, you have your cruise and volume to your radio. And then down here you got phone, channel, you know, a bunch of different menu options that control the menu. This truck does have, you know, the big screen in it, the 12-inch screen. And one thing I do like about this is you have a lot of different functions in it. You have CarPlay. I think this works with Apple and Android. And then you have your navigation. And one thing I like about the navigation is you can actually hit this little button right here. And it's going to make it go full screen. Now, once you go full screen, you can come over here to this little thing right here. Hit that. And it's going to show you all this. Traffic, avoid a route, map orientation. But if you go into weather, you can do this. And you see radar map. Doesn't look like there's any radar going on, but it's sunny outside. But we should be able to back this out. You keep going. Now you're showing multiple states, and you actually are picking up actual weather radar. So that's pretty handy if you're traveling and you kind of want to see weather radar and you're too lazy to look at your map on your phone. You can just look on your truck. And then we have our apps. CarPlay, Android, Pandora. You have your settings. Same thing. A lot of different functions. Your general clock, truck features, towing, zone lighting, and that's the 360 lighting. You can light it up at night. It also has the towing. And like I said, I don't have this on here. But maybe once I put it in there, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the tow package on this, so I'm not really for sure if that would work if I hooked it up, but maybe it would. So that, like I said, this has got a lot of functions inside of this, and I kind of like that as well. And one thing else that it has is the B&O sound system up here. And it sounds pretty good to be factory radio. I mean, a lot of people complain about them, but once again, it's factory. And you can always, if you're really interested in sound systems, you can always just buy aftermarket stuff. Now coming over here, there's a glove box. Got all our junk in it. So let's jump back out. We'll go to the back seat. One thing about the driver's seat, it is full powered. It is heated only. It's not cooled. I do not like cooled and heated seats because the way they work is separate than the way these do. And my Edge has heated and cooled seats, and the heated part of the seat usually goes out, and it's just a kind of a money thing. So these are made different. So sorry for that side note rant, but I like these seats a lot better. Now coming to the back door, same thing. Got a little cubby hole there. You can buy different things to make this stick out. So maybe you could put a bottle of water or something back there. The back of these seats are leather, and it has this little pocket. You come down here, you have your power windows for the back, and then you have your, once again, your 2 USBs. And then you have a 110 outlet here, 400 amp, or yeah, no, 400 watt. They don't really run much. Maybe a laptop or a Game Boy, but it won't run very much anything bigger than that, really. Of course, in the back seat, you have that little cup holder there, and that's probably about the only 2 cup holders back here. So you're going to want to have multiple drinks. You might want to look at getting something here to replace that. So now we're going to lay the back seat down, flip that down, and it's going to lay down. So both seats lay down like that, and you kind of have a little bit more storage area if maybe you needed to pick something up and lay in the back of the truck. But it is 2 different heights. Now we'll move around here to the back. Now the back is it's fairly good size. I mean, it ain't like you're, probably 3 big, huge suitcases and some carry-ons will go in here. These right here are kind of some future mods. So you raise this up and you got a little storage area right there. Probably going to put like a little air pump or something back there. You got your jack, fuel nozzle, emergency fuel nozzle. You got a hand crank, lug wrench right there. You got these little tie downs. If you're going to put something back here, you could strap it down. Here in the back, you have a little subwoofer here for the radio. Of course, you got a light, a little 12-volt port. Maybe you got a little electric cooler or something you want to carry around. Then up here are the speakers, the rear speakers. You come over here, these are the plugs. So if you're ever going to take the hardtop off the back, you unplug this and this right here, and you plug them into, right here. This is where the plug goes, and this is where the windshield washer fluid hose goes. So that way you can just stick them in there, and they're kind of stowed out of the way. And this thing's got bolt holes for, I guess, different kind of accessories you can add to it. I don't know if that's maybe for the soft top or whatever. But then if you go around, I think it's on this side over here. Where my thumb's at, that right there is a bottle opener. In case you need to open some bottles. So, and like I said, these are some future mods that are coming. Not very much, is it? Here's the back door. A lot of people add different kind of accessories back here. Bags, tables, all kinds of things that you want to do. And there's that spare tire once again. Now basically the passenger side is going to be identical to the driver's side in the back seat. But then when we come over here to the passenger seat of the front, same thing, powered seats. You do have your glove box and you got plenty of leg room. So let's open up the hood and I'll show you the engine that's in it. All right before we jump out there to the hood, let's talk about these accessory switches. These are good for like light bars, different kind of accessories that you might want to supply power to. Of course, here's your little bitty map lights up front. But these are real handy to have. I wish my F-150 had these, but we made sure we ordered these from the factory because I think it was only $125 to add these. But when we go adding it, you know, lights and different things like that, they're going to be real handy. Alrighty, so the engine we chose for this Bronco was a 2.7 liter twin turbo EcoBoost engine. Now on a side note, this engine will flat up and get going. I've been out kind of playing with it today and got on it a couple of times and it took off. And the truck has a lot more torque than I think my Edge does. So it'll just really set you back in the seat. So it's going to be pretty fun, but it's going to be one of those that, since it's rear wheel drive, most of the time, when you get on it, you kind of going to have to watch it. So now we did order this truck as a winter with some winter package stuff on it. So we did get a block heater in it. And that's what this is right here. It's basically a 110 plug. So that way in really cold winters, we can plug this up and keep the block warm through the winter. Now, one thing I like about this truck also, here's the turbos. They're really accessible to get to. So if you ever need to replace them, it's not like you got to dig around and find those things. Of course, this is the air box. This is your windshield washer fluid, a radiator fluid, antifreeze. And then here's the battery, really easy to get to. I really like the battery too because it's got a lot of adjustability here. You got a couple of extra ports that you can put some connections to. Maybe you're adding an amp or a radio or, you know, whatever. You got plenty of extra power. You also have one here for the ground, on the ground side. And then I think back here, I want to say, if you see all these wires right here, I would like to say these are for the accessory switches that are inside that I just showed you. And you basically put in a relay controller out here, and then these tie into it, and then that supplies all the correct power to your lights and things of that nature. Alrighty, so this is going to be the end of the video, and if you're wondering why I'm dressed in different clothes and the truck's sitting in a different spot, it's because last week when I was filming this episode, the camera died, so I lost that footage. So here we are again today. Now, my wife waited 584 days for this truck, and during that time frame, she had a lot of time to think about the things that she wanted to do to it. We also, like I said, had to make some sacrifices on like the Sasquatch package, so the truck sits lower now than it would have. It's got smaller tires than it would have. So we got some, you know, we'll call it tasteful modifications to the truck, mild modifications. We're going to be doing some of the modifications ourselves, and we're going to be letting some other people do a few things to it that I don't feel comfortable doing. So if you want to see those videos, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that bell so that way you get a notification when we upload these videos. You'll be one of the very first ones to see what we do to this truck. Now, that's going to be the end of the video. I got to get in there and get finished editing it. So y'all have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video.